What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 540, if I'm remembering correctly, of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast Hot Tags of the Week. We're going to be breaking down just some of the stuff that happened after WrestleMania, a little bit of stuff that happened before Mania that we didn't get a chance to talk about in the world of professional wrestling over the past few days. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, sounding a little bit weird. I'll talk about that in a moment, but before I do that, let me introduce the rest of the crew. You know them, you love them. We got Callum Wiggins.
Hey there.
We got Robert DeFelice.
Hello.
So before we get started, let me just address Barry, the elephant in the room. So Barry, on Wednesday afternoon, I got my Invisalign treatment put in. So I am currently... I don't know if you just heard that little snap. That's a rubber band. Dealing with immense mouth pain. Don't ever let anybody tell you that Invisalign doesn't hurt. I'm sure it's probably better than braces are, but yeah, it sucks. And I'm talking a little bit strange. It's gonna give me like a lisp kind of going on. Dry mouth kind of situation. I still have my sinus issues from last week too, so that's on top of that. It's great. And you know, my clenched jaw and everything is kind of making it hard to talk. So not only will I be banking on the two of these guys holding down the fort for this episode, at the very, very least, hopefully I don't feel this bad much longer for an 18-month treatment. Woof. But on top of that, just excuse the stupid voice kind of thing, this and the that I can't really get out all that much, like a kind of difficult to talk, but well, you know, we'll figure it out. And I just wanted to let everybody know so they're not just thinking I'm talking weird for the sake of it or doing a bad impression of someone or whatever. Hopefully this doesn't fuck up my impressions. Caroline loves them. So we do have hot tags to talk about. We got a lot about NXT. See, there you go. I can't say NXT correctly. That'd be fun. That's one of the biggest things we're talking about. NXT.
If you want, you can just say the NX, and then one of us just says T at the end of it, and then
it's the X, I think, more than anything else. The paint splatter brand. Can't say black and gold anymore, but we got a lot to talk about. NXT. Hey, maybe this will make me be able to say WWE better in the future. I always was envious of how Michael Cole was able to do that. And Mean Gene Okerlund, the two best people of saying the WWE. Talk about Bron Breakker. Talk about Ezekiel. Here's another one. Ezekiel. Tony Khan. We got superstars. I could say superstars, not a lot weird. That's kind of strange. The 2022 Smark Madness tournament and some other things that are going on. Okay. So first things first. Let's talk about this NXT situation. We got a couple new champions crowned. We got a couple that are going to be crowned. And as we break this down, we want to know what you guys have to say about a lot of these different things. So remember, drop a comment below. Tell us your predictions, your thoughts, your comments, questions, concerns, all those things. Hit the like button, hit the share button. You know how to do this stuff by now. I don't gotta repeat it. Patreon, join button, members only, Darkcast, blah, blah, blah. Nash Carter had gotten released. And we know some of the situation, of course, but it seems like it's a messy divorce going on. Wesley and his wife have come out to say that there's a lot of different things that Kimberly is just kind of like targeting Nash Carter for, and Kimberly had accused him of being abusive in more than one way, and eventually she tweets out a picture of him doing an impression of Adolf Hitler, and lo and behold, they go from winning the tag team titles to Carter being released, and now the NXT Tag Team Championship has been vacated. We're going to crown new champions on Tuesday, which is not at all their plan from these past couple weeks, so...
Or maybe it was. I mean, look at the other champions from this brand right now.
Well, that's maybe another thing, because the way that these titles are going around, it's really making NXT Stand and Deliver seem like it was completely pointless. Because we got new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, and then in typical Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez as tag team champions fashion, they lost it immediately because Toxic Attraction just won it back. So that was utterly pointless, basically. And Bron Breakker won the NXT Championship back on Monday Night Raw. So a lot of the things that we talked about from the pay-per-view, the premium live event, I should say, are no longer kind of valid anymore. What are you guys thinking is going on here? Is this like that they wanted to do title changes for the sake of them, and it's not actually what they planned on doing going forward? So it was like, we'll just revert back to it because fuck it, why not? Or do you think that there's like a shift in creative direction or something? Obviously, the MSK thing, that's not something that they had seen coming, but 3 championships just being tossed around like this, not an ideal situation.
Well, the MSK thing, just to start on that, because it's the most muddy area. Again, we probably shouldn't go too deep into the accusations being thrown one side or the other, because it's all a bit murky and we don't know who's in the right, who's in the wrong, what's all this stuff is happening. So don't want to comment on that until more information comes to light.
Real quick though, is it murky? Is it muddy? Is it messy?
Murphy.
What?
It's Murphy.
What's the M part of MSK stand for? Messy situation. Okay. Anyway, continue.
Yes. So that's going on, and Nash Carter was released. I think that from what I've seen online, again, it's not 100% guaranteed, but it seems like the Hitler picture was probably a bigger issue than the other side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of rubber stamped any decision they would have had. It kind of makes the whole decision of giving them the tag team titles when it seemed so obviously set up for the Creed brothers to win pretty ridiculous. Because even though they probably thought that the Kimberly stuff was nothing that they needed to get too concerned about, or something that could have been swept under the rug, especially because at that point in time it looked like they had reconciled or at least working through things. And so I thought, okay, it's safe to do this. And then once the title switch does happen, then shit hits the fan, and that's where it all goes. So in a way, you feel bad for them because you couldn't see it coming, but also probably could have seen it coming if you thought hard enough. Like you could thought, yeah, this is a probable possibility, and we might as well just put the titles on the Creed brothers and go from there, because they already have a ready-made feud set up for them. So, and now they're just in the lurch about who the next champions will be. The Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai thing, I think that was just a plan. That was always the plan. It's just, okay, it's a cool moment. They're popular. They're a popular team. Get them to win the tag team titles, and then they'll just drop it straight to Toxic Attraction the week afterwards. Just because a title change happens in very quick order doesn't mean that it's not the plan. And yeah, so I think that was the case with that one. It's just, okay, we'll give them a feel-good moment on the premium live event, and then we'll take it away and get more heat for the heels by having them win it back on NXT. And also that's a bridge into Dakota Kai challenging for the NXT Women's Championship. So I think that was all by design. And the Bron Breakker thing, I think it's a case they just want to make Bron Breakker more well known. And so by having the NXT Championship change take place on Raw, it's in front of more people. Mm-hmm. It's on one of the biggest shows that they do every single year from a TV standpoint. And so people now recognize who he is a bit more. He got to win a title, which means that he's already positioned more prominently than he was beforehand. I do agree that it does make it feel like anyone who did bother to wake up early and watch both that and WrestleMania on the same day kind of feel like, okay, well, it was a good show, but at the end of the day, it didn't actually mean anything beyond, hey, Cameron Grimes is the North American champion, isn't that great? But
he's got a title defense coming up too.
Yeah, but I can see the logic in every decision they made.
Yeah, I can see the logic in it. It still feels very disjointed, especially like if you were just going to have Bron Breakker win, I think you should have just done it at Stand and Deliver, because it's a big moment, and then you show that, hey, he at the first NXT event away from EC in forever, he won the title. It just makes it almost seem like Dolph Ziggler loses his powers when he goes to Raw because he magically just can't win matches once he's on the main roster.
You could have done something quite easily where you had Bron Breakker win the title at Stand Deliver and do the rematch on Raw.
Yeah,
like you have Dolph Ziggler basically say, okay, well, Raw's my stomping ground, so see if you can come up to the big leagues, defend your title against me there, and then Bron Breakker successfully defends the title there. They probably just thought it'd be a bigger moment if he wins it on Raw instead. I mean, I would have preferred it if he'd have won the title at Stand and Deliver, because that means I would have won the Fantasy League. But that's like a whole nother that's a whole nother situation. Well,
I can understand their philosophy of Monday Night Raw, but I can also, like, if I'm in the room and somebody pitches that leading up to the week of let's not have him win the title at the pay-per-view, let's do it on Raw, I would say I would say something along the lines of, well, that's going to just piss off the people that are watching the pay-per-view, and if we already know we are going to put the title on him and you are dead set on making this a situation where the title is going to be on Raw, because I understand their philosophy is more people will watch Raw than will watch the Stand and Deliver pay-per-view. And that could tie into maybe tomorrow night people might watch to see what happens with the new champion kind of deal. I would say, well, then we at least have to book the Stand and Deliver match to lead into it. Not just Bron Breakker loses, but for some reason gets another shot. So I don't know why they didn't do an angle where he didn't like have the match won and then something happened and it was bullshit, and it was like, okay, well, we all know that he's getting another title shot. It wasn't, I guess, as straightforward enough.
That they did.
Yeah, I mean, he went into the Dolph Ziggler put him into the exposed turnbuckle and then flash pinned him.
But like, I mean, even something more than that. Like, they could have had, like, he had, say, like, Ziggler went for a pin and both their shoulders were down, but the referee didn't notice or something, you know, like, right, where it's a little bit more outright, where they end Stand and Deliver going, I don't know, that's a dicey finish. They might need to go back and do something about that, guys. We'll tell you about that on the next episode of NXT or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because when you have, you know, an NXT ad about how Dolph Ziggler's still champion running after Dolph Ziggler just lost the belt on Raw, it's very weird, and it makes it seem as though, okay, you didn't plan this.
Yeah.
You just decided last minute, hey, why don't we just have him win it on Raw?
And it's strange, too, considering how much buzz there is that he's going up to the main roster soon anyway. So it's kind of like, are you just going to have him win it back like that and then just defeat the whole purpose, and he's going to lose it again, you know?
And not only that, but this guy apparently sucks at being a son because his father was kidnapped. And I want to know, like, why, who's allowing this to happen? The guy goes into the Hall of Fame and just gets kidnapped, and everybody's like, oh, I guess we'll wait until next week to save him. Where is Scott Steiner? Where is Bron Breakker? Why are they not, like, showing a digital exclusive where they're chasing these people down? Like, that's a weird angle to me, and I definitely wouldn't be putting the belt on Joe Gacy, but that's just me. I'm hoping he does not become the new champion, but they ran through Gunther, so
they sped through that thing super fast. That's another discussion to talk about, is Imperium, but yeah, it's a weird situation going on with that NXT title, and then I guess with the Gunther thing, he was my pick to be the next champion, so that's not happening.
Yeah, so the fact that we might as well transition into that discussion a little bit, or at least the speculation surrounding it. So they essentially rush through the Gunther match. It's not even announced ahead on time on Twitter or anything like that. It's made on the show. So no build, no hype, nothing really. It's just like, okay, tonight we're doing Gunther versus Bron Breakker for the NXT Championship. And the optics of it look bizarre, considering, okay, this is a potentially really big match that you could put together for your next big standalone show or a big episode of NXT if you build it up like 2-3 weeks in advance, and you could get hopefully a bigger rating because you're having Gunter fight for the NXT Championship. And yeah, but they decided to just run through it, and they also decided to split up Imperium on the same show by putting them in a match in one of the weirdest booked finishes ever, which is Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner are in the match, and then at some point Bartel does that drop kick in the corner that he does, and Fabian Eichner just runs around the ring, then walks out of the ring, and then just walks away, seemingly for no reason whatsoever. It was just bizarre the reason they did it or the way they did it. And so now that's led into fueling speculation that both Gunter and Marcel Bartel are being called up to SmackDown as soon as potentially tonight's episode. So by the time people listen to this, you'll know whether that has happened or not. And they're among other NXT potential call-ups. There's been speculation about Raquel Gonzalez and LA Knight. And there's also rumored that Lacey Evans is returning to SmackDown on this as well. So really, they're actually making the SmackDown after WrestleMania more important than the Raw after WrestleMania. And I'm sure USA are super happy about that. But
hey, they got Roman Reigns saying, tune into SmackDown.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
even worse.
Until Callum just said that, I didn't think about that. Maybe they are planning on having SmackDown be the bigger show just because it's, it's on Fox.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
So yeah, all those changes were kind of made. That's the only logical explanation why they would rush through that match and decide, okay, now we're pivoting to the Joe Gacy thing, which is, again, bizarre. Surely there are at least half a dozen better options. I mean, you just took the North American title of Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, that's the one that comes to my mind.
But maybe they're saving him because they want him to be the next champion. So Gacy is just there to be the next person to lose to Breakker.
That is a potential option. I kind of just think that even as a stand-in person, there might be better options than Joe Gacy. But at the end of the day, that's what they want to do. If the optics were so weird about that's the match that they want to build up, and they just give away the Gunther match for free. So, But if I was questioning their decisions, I'd be around all day really doing that. So that's kind of, especially on the NXT side of things. But that seems to be the way things are going. And if it's Gunter and Bartel going up to SmackDown together, that just gives me the impression that they're going to be a tag team.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Nothing that's happening here makes sense. Yeah, you could not have convinced me in January that we would be in a situation where Walter and Pete Dunne were going to the main roster, and I would be so unhappy about it. Like, why?
I just don't get why Eichner wouldn't be in the mix, because it's not like Eichner hasn't been a part of this for so long, and it's not like he's not good either. So, like,
I mean, my only interpretation would be that they're bringing, that we've seen with Butch, that they don't necessarily need to take what happens in NXT into account. So I think they'll be called up. I don't think if that's what happens, I don't think they're going to be called Imperium. I think they're going to be a giant German stereotype.
Oh no!
Well, what else is there? Look at what Butch is. Is Butch anything like Pete Dunne other than the guy playing him? What Pete Dunne
bad timing after the Nash Carter stuff, though.
I know, but it's just a case of.
I guess that's fair, but
yeah, but like what? Well, why else are they just taking the two? Obviously Walter's Austrian, but the two German-speaking people, and they're the ones that will be called up rather than the Italian guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only logical explanation I can make for it. It's not exactly logical because it still makes no fucking sense and it's really dumb. But it's like you can somewhat see the logic of, okay, that's the reason why we're not calling up this really talented worker along with in this already successful and well-established, put-together act, because we're putting two guys together and we're going to stick them in lederhosen and they come out to music.
My God.
Also, just because it's going to happen, he's not going to be Marcel Bartel. He's going to be Marcel.
If that, I'd be lucky if he gets that. It's probably going to be Gunter and Heinrich.
Oh yeah,
Oh my god, Callum, go
Hansel
away.
and Gretel.
Well, New Day will be calling them that in a week.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Jesus.
Tell me I'm wrong, Rob. Tell me that anything you said is not something that they will do, because they would never do something like that.
No, you're right. And that's what's pissing me off. It's that, oh my god, they're going to make them a German stereotype. That's why they couldn't get around the name that belonged to a former Nazi commander, because they're really going backwards to just strange 1980s things. And that is a very 1980s thing to do.
And it fits in with SmackDown's tag team division as well, because obviously you've got the Usos and you've got the New Day that have been there forever and stuff like that, and don't really have kind of quote unquote characters. But then you look at the other ones, you've got Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs, obviously, well, not for the foreseeable future, but they were a tag team, which is like the rock star like tag team, and is like all that stuff. You've got Vikings, you've got Latin Lovers, Los Lotharios. So every single other one of their tag teams are characters, like Sheamus, Ridge Holland and Butch, or Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. They're all just gimmicks.
Mhm.
Why are we here?
So-
Like, how did we get here? And not for nothing, but you mention all of this, and we're probably on the verge of getting a super Americana babyface in Cody Rhodes. And I just think it's crazy that we're just going backwards with all these stereotypical gimmicks. But I don't know. I hope to God Walter's not wearing lederhosen, because just stick a knife in him, you know? Like, just what else can you do? But yeah, I think Callum is dead on, and I hate him for it.
Maybe he'll have the whole backstage thing where he's drinking a beer, and it's like they can team up with the Sheamus crew, because the bonding over the beer type thing, and we can get New Day calling out the land of chocolate from The Simpsons, and not a lot of stuff to look forward to.
I hate it. I really, really hate it.
Well, as far as the NXT Tag Team Championships go, we need to crown new ones, and they are just going. We need new ones. The end, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, really, they won't even say MSK. They're just like, hey, the former champions relinquished the titles. We're not going to say why. We're not going to say we fired one of them, but they relinquished the belts like good boys, and we're going to crown new champions. Okay, bye. Like, and I don't know why they did this. I don't know why they didn't just wait until Tuesday and have them lose it to Grayson Waller and Sanga.
Because I don't think that they're going to lose it to Grayson Waller and Sanga.
Yeah, well, Grayson Waller's pushing an injury angle at the moment anyway, so like.
But he can hold the gold while the other guy does all the work.
I'm thinking they're just putting it on Creed Brothers.
I think that they'll do some kind of. I mean, I'd ideally want to do some kind of mini tournament. They probably won't even go that far to do it, but I think it'll just be a match between Pretty Deadly and the Creed Brothers, and one of them will become the tag team champions.
Well, no, the other two were booked for a tag title match. Just put them in the match, even if they're not scheduled to win it.
Could be a triple threat.
Not like we didn't just see that twice.
If that happens too, there's a good chance they put it on Pretty Deadly.
Yep.
Yeah. But they didn't even. I don't think they did the angle of them attacking the revealing that they were the ones that attacked the Creed Brothers. So the speculation surrounding that was correct. But they didn't even. The commentary team didn't even say that they were called Pretty Deadly, or say what their names were after they attacked. So it's like they had the attack, and then it's like, oh my god, it's And they said like, oh, these were the people who were attacking Pretty Deadly. So like, I recognise those like fighters from England, those British boys and stuff like that. And then it just cut away. And then Mackenzie Mitchell on the after the advert had to just say like, hey, wow, Pretty Deadly are in NXT. So anyway, talking about other stuff, just like like It's like they forgot to. Oh, it's almost like Vic and Wade forgot what their actual name was.
Maybe
Like they had no idea what.
So they're just Rob.
Yeah,
Since Rob
Those
can never remember
guys.
it's like a Fabio twins.
Mario Fabio and Luigi Fabio. I don't understand the issue. They're the Fabio twins.
I would love it if they renamed them to that. They might as well. It's like you pretty much move from one brand to another in WWE. You can just have a completely different name and persona. And speaking of which, there'll be stuff that we can talk about that as well, with people changing names and identities, or
MVP making really bad business decisions.
I still think that they need to turn into the skid and have a situation where they say between Stoker and Hallie, just be like, one points to the other one. It's like, he's pretty and I'm deadly. Just make it like that.
And
we're the Fabio twins.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, when you're being repackaged in WWE, which hopefully doesn't happen necessarily with Raquel Gonzalez and some of these other people. I don't want to see LA Knight just become like something worse. I don't know. Can't even think of some of that. Sometimes you're repackaged and they just point it out and say, no, you're not a new guy. You're this guy, which is happening right now with Elias. After waiting, a year? I think at this point almost. He comes out on Monday Night Raw. He's shaved. He's wearing some standard ring gear instead of his usual jeans and whatnot. Interrupts the Kevin Owens situation and calls himself Ezekiel. He's not Elias. He's Elias's younger brother.
I unironically love this entire thing, and I love it because it's stupid, but it's the right kind of stupid for me, because I just watched that segment and it's just completely unbelievable that you know that it's Elias. You know it's Elias. Kevin Owens knows it's Elias. Everyone knows that it's Elias, but he's saying that he's Ezekiel instead. Like, Elias is gone. This is the younger brother. He's taken over his Twitter account, saying I'm actually Ezekiel instead, even though the Twitter handle is still I am Elias. I am Elias. But you just know that for the next several weeks, months, however long it is, we're going to see Kevin Owens constantly be trying to figure out that this guy is Elias and admit to the fact that he is Elias and he's not Ezekiel. And there's going to be matches, there's going to be segments, there's going to be lie detectors, there's going to be like trying to catch him in the act backstage, there's going to be evidence being brought forward, he's going to talk to members of Elias's family, like mocked up characters and stuff like that. And I think that if it was other people, I'd be alarmed by it. But the fact that it's Kevin Owens gives me complete reassurance that it's going to go really well. Because he just, as a character, he can do this stuff really well. And it really leans into his entire thing, which I think they brought up in the promo segment, which is Owens is a heel, but he hates liars. He always speaks about in his mind, he always speaks the truth. And so this guy coming out who's clearly Elias and saying that he's not Elias is going to eat away at him more than anything else could. So I, for one, am super excited about how this will go moving forward.
Professional wrestling is amazing. Kevin Owens just main evented WrestleMania with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And now we're talking about him potentially playing a comedy mystery sketch with Elias / Ezekiel. Only in WWE can you do this, because it's like, yeah, I'm excited about it if they don't run it into the ground. They do have Abyss who can produce these segments, who knows how to make this funny at least. But this is the best that you have for a guy who just had Stone Cold Steve Austin's last match. That is a little weird. You know, you're going to tell me you have nothing else for Kevin Owens. I guess that's exactly what they said, because you guys just said nothing there. And on top of that, I totally get why Vince McMahon would say, yeah, he looks too much like Randy Savage, because boy, oh boy, do I see it with those trunks.
Yeah.
And that face. He does look very much like Randy Savage.
I don't see a whole big future in this, to be honest. I think that it might even be abandoned with the Owens situation and just pivoted over to somebody else pretty soon. I could see them having like Ezekiel be the thing that's like R-Truth gets obsessed over instead. I'm willing to be wrong, of course. I'd much rather be wrong and it to be great, but that's the thing happening.
It could still be great with R-Truth. I think that's worth saying. Like, R-Truth is great.
Yeah. Let's pivot over to this thing here. WWE is going back on their previous thing about you can't be using Twitch, you can't use Cameo, whatever. They're going to allow third-party deals now for people to earn money on the side. In a move that everybody was just like, I mean, yeah, kind of.
Well, in fairness, you can't tout a special name, image, and likeness program for college athletes and also prevent your superstars from doing the same thing. So that's got to be part of it too. But yeah, it's good for them. This is how it should be. And Triple H got to make the announcement, which is even better because everybody is loving Triple H right now because he had to retire.
Yeah. Essentially, it's this situation that never should have been in place in the first place. It shouldn't have been the case in the first place, where you have the announcement that people can't use Twitch or Cameo or anything along those lines in order to get a bit of extra money on the side, in no way compromising their wrestling career or anything like that, because of reasons wanting to own everything that everyone does. And it's also a big reason why, I mean, essentially you make this announcement like 7-8 months ago and you still have Adam Cole in your company. That type of thing. But yeah, it's the right decision. It's a shame that it's taken this long to come to that realization, but at least they've taken the step of moving forward in the right way. I was joking about it earlier before we started recording about the fact that it's similar to how WWE's approached their video games in the past, about how, okay, we had this feature in, but we took it away for several games. Now we brought it back and everyone loves it again. Like a GM mode in this year's one, after it being out of the game for, it would have been a decade plus at that point.
I mean, yeah, honestly, this is just something that needs to happen, and it should have been happening a long time ago. As Callum said, you could have kept Adam Cole. You could have kept maybe Zelina the first time, which means maybe you wouldn't have lost Aleister Black, kind of thing. You know, who knows?
I'm curious what made them decide to go back on it after all this time.
Maybe they just want to get a bit more feel-good publicity surrounding the company now because of all the stuff that's happening. I mean, let's see if they're still interested in feel-good publicity after next week's hot tags, because that's the one we're all waiting for. But yeah, I think that they realised that it was they could do more good or get more
morale.
Yeah, get a bit of a boost of morale by having this announcement happen, especially that's part of the reason probably why Triple H is the one doing it as well, because everyone kind of loves Triple H behind the scenes. And so, yeah, I think that was a big reason behind it.
I think it is a situation where they didn't make as much money as they thought that they would. That they thought that if they took that away, they'd be able to work out a deal with Twitch and or a deal with Cameo, and that like WWE would make all this money and be like, oh, okay, well, you know, people are paying for Big E to do a cameo, and if he's making, it's just random numbers, I don't know what he's making, but like, let's say he's making $5,000 a month, and we can get $3,000 out of that, and then we do that for all these other people. We're just going to be making money hand over fist to do nothing. And then when WWE institutes this policy and then people stop doing it, and suddenly they're not making any money anymore, then they just kind of go, all right, well then fuck it. If we're just pissing people off and we're not getting anything out of it, what's the point? Let's just give it back to them and just say, nah, it was a failed experiment. We tried to fuck you over and it didn't work. Kind of feel like that's the case a little bit. I also feel like they didn't get any kind of sponsored deal going on enough with like those cameo things with Undertaker and all that to justify it, where it would be like, okay, let's make our own little platform or whatever. They probably said, we've experimented with it enough. There's not enough money there. Let's just let the people do it. Something must have triggered it. So I don't think that it's just like, okay, it's after WrestleMania. We've made enough money. We're just going to give it back.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right that there was an instance that triggered it, and it was probably money based for the most part. But then they'll do what they'll do in terms of spinning it in a positive light on a PR front. But yeah, the likelihood is they couldn't make any money off of this, and they've realised that it wasn't benefiting them in any real way. So make themselves look like the good guys by giving it back after taking it away in the first place.
Mm-hmm. You think that this is going to be an insightful thing to try to enticing thing to try to get some of those other people back that they lost?
Maybe not the people back they lost, but maybe just people in general, because there are a lot of wrestlers that stream on Twitch who want to use Cameo and other services, and so yeah, it can be something that, okay, AEW and other places offer this, we offer it as well, so and we can give you more money on top of that as well. So yeah, I'm sure that it's certainly a reason for it would be an incentive to attract either former wrestlers or wrestlers from the other side over to them eventually. So yeah.
That's the way they should look at things to begin with. I mean, they're doing the right thing. They are, we can offer you more money and we'll be nice to you too. I don't know why that would even be a foreign concept to them.
Yeah, they are in a battle for They are in a battle for talent. Like, you can say that AEW is certainly not at the level that WWE is in terms of size and grandeur, but they are battling for the same people. They're battling for the same talent. So WWE needs to continue to make themselves the name for places for wrestlers to go, especially ones that are prominently featured on AEW and in other places as well. Otherwise, you risk what's currently seemingly happening is more one-way traffic from either WWE or the independents towards AEW at the moment.
You think there's any chance that the Toni Storm situation might have been one of the reasons why? Because she leaves, she goes to AEW. She's not that they would let her have an OnlyFans, but like, she leaves, goes to AEW, is saying that she's so much happier. She's got this OnlyFans thing going on, side gig that's like, I don't know. I mean,
I think that was a case of being burnt out with the actual company and her direction more than it was about the. I think the OnlyFans was the thing that she decided to do beyond leaving because I think she's spoken about this as well, that she was considering retiring after leaving WWE, or at least she contemplated the idea of doing it. And so that, I don't think that the OnlyFans, like the reason why she left was partly due to the fact that she couldn't get an OnlyFans or some other third party type of way to earn money. I think that was creative burnout and not seeing any forward momentum for her character, and so wanting to leave and explore a different pasture.
Yeah,
but that's just my interpretation. I don't know her, but that's my interpretation at the very least.
Yeah, I can't imagine that she's like, oh, that really burned me that they wouldn't let me have any third-party accounts. I think WWE is just looking in the mirror, and I know they use this kind of vernacular all the time, but they're saying we have to adapt. We can't keep saying you can't have this, you can't have that, when it's so clear that that is the wave of the future. We have to offer that in order to keep enticing people to be here.
Hopefully they have that kind of self-acknowledgement and it's not just some other kind of, scheme.
And again, it's like, you can't have, hey, college, NIL is great. and then go, but we're doing the exact same thing that college sports were doing forever, where we're not going to let you earn shit. Like, you can't be that hypocritical on the surface. You know what I mean?
And it is important to build up this goodwill when you're about to probably release about a dozen people in the next week.
Remains to be seen, but
remains to be seen. Yeah, but if history is any indicator,
yeah, I'll give you that.
Well, we do have Nash Carter's already off the list. Pat Buck left.
Pat Butt.
It does sound like I said Pat Butt, right? He's sitting along with Drew McIntyre. Pat Buck left. He's quit the other day. So they got a couple people out of the mix before that April 15th cutoff.
Yeah, I'm wondering which member of the Young Bucks Pat is. But he was a producer behind the scenes, and
he
got
just
physical
left the
with
Nia Jax on TV during the pandemic, if you remember.
Please, life on the line.
Yeah, and he was hired around the same time as Adam Pearce was, and maybe it just wasn't for him. You know, maybe he just decided, time to go. I have other options elsewhere. But we'll see where things end up next week. We do know that we will be doing the hot tags on the 15th. So it should be interesting.
I'm hoping, for the sake of the people that are out there, that we end up having a show where we're not talking about a bunch of releases.
Oh, no, I don't want to talk about bunch of releases. Nobody does.
Right.
If you do, you're a monster. But as Callum said, if history is any indicator.
Right.
Yeah, there's a reason why we're doing that live on that day. So it's not because we want that to happen. It's just that we have reason to expect it to happen.
2 years in a row. I mean, it's a little unlikely that it's not going to be the same case, but
twice is a coincidence. If it happens this year, then it's a pattern.
Yeah, if it happens this year, then it becomes okay. That's just the cutoff day.
3 times his enemy action. Remember which movie?
I don't watch enough movies to know that. So,
well, it was one of the Bonds, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been
Tomorrow
too long.
Never Dies.
Nope. Take a random guess, Calum.
Take a random guess. Spy Who Loved Me.
Goldfinger.
Goldfinger. Yeah, see, that was ages ago.
Yeah.
That was well over a year ago. That we should watch it again.
Oh, if anybody is interested,
the whole series over again. Yeah.
If anybody is interested in that, A Review to a Kill, great series there over on Fanboys Anonymous. Go check out fanboysanonymous.com and everything. I wanted to do some kind of a review of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but I could not talk well enough to be able to do that, so I wrote an article up about it. But go see it. If you like the first one, you'll like the second one. If you're like Caroline, who didn't like the first one, she didn't like the second one either, but that's just how it goes.
Why? Wait a minute.
It's not her thing. She loves those horror stories and stuff. It's a little too not in that direction.
Got it.
But I enjoyed it, so it gets a thumbs up for me. Let's talk about this thing. Tony Khan says that an independent study had reported that about half of the anti-AEW crowd on social media are just bots targeting the company.
And they're apparently very expensive. Who would do such a thing?
So Tony Khan likes Twitter. And he is vocal about stuff that he is passionate about, and he isn't really one of those people that subscribes to the whole, okay, maybe we should just keep quiet about this whole thing. What do we have to gain about it? And he'll just say what's on his mind or what he thinks. I personally find that somewhat endearing. I know other people think that he's a fucking idiot for doing that sort of stuff. And realistically, this sort of tweet sits somewhere in between that. I think it's worded poorly in the sense that what I think probably happens is that you have these people who are real people who are literally against AEW. I think we've spoken about in the past about these certain people like your some of the ones off the top of my head I'm trying to think of, like that Girl on Cinema or Gareth WWE Gareth or anything along those lines. Like these people who do just want to see AEW burn and are so like we stand with WWE, that type of thing. And then it's the people in the replies that I imagine who are saying like, oh yeah, you get on board with this or all that stuff are probably the people that are automated bots. Well, at least some of them would be. I don't doubt that research has probably come up with some kind of information that suggests that there are a lot of bots on Twitter that are like programmed to like spot anything which is anti-AEW related and just send a reply saying, "Oh yeah, that's right on. That's exactly what we think as well." To make it feel like there's more people that are in that camp than actually are. But I also don't think that it's probably like it's really not in our interest to know that, and it's just making Tony look a little bit petulant.
Tinfoil hat.
Yeah, a little bit like along those lines. So I think that if that data does exist, he probably should have shared it. Like, if he's got those analytics available, rather than him just putting out a tweet saying, "Oh yeah, we've done this independent research, and it turns out all these people are bots." Well, surely if you've done all that research, you have data that demonstrates that information. So if you want to show it, print that out alongside it, or take an image of it and put that out there as well. If not, then you're just putting it out there to be super, like, I guess WrestleMania kind of hit him hard or something along those lines. Like thinking, okay, I need to come out with something here. I'm in so many minds about it, so maybe I'm just like over talking myself about it. Was this the right thing to do? Was it funny? Was it interesting? Is he right? Is he wrong? That type of, and realistically, he's going to do what he wants to do, whether he thinks it's right, wrong, indifferent, however he thinks people are going to react to it. But I don't think that. I don't think it's a bad thing. If anything, it's quite fun that he's done all this. The most fun thing about it is that he's actually invested his money. Yeah, he's invested into his money into hiring an independent person to look into this. Basically, that's the indication that he sees all the negative reaction on Twitter and he's desperate to find out if all these people, these thousands of people, are actually so virulently anti-AEW, or it's just actually someone who's paying a load of bots to do that job for them. So yeah, that's the most interesting thing for me. It's just like he's mad at Twitter trolls.
I think that Tony Khan is a member of the internet wrestling community first, and I think that can never be talked about enough. Because there are several times where Tony will do something, whether it was, the reaction to the Swole stuff or whatever, where you're just like, oh, yeah, you're a wrestling fan first. Got it. Because, he just has certain tendencies. I think this is hysterical. Whether it's true or not, I don't care. This is funny that he's out here tweeting, yeah, by the way, anyone that really hates on us, half these people are fake. I think that's genuinely funny. The problem is, even if he means it as a joke, the people on Twitter cannot take them because this is just the environment we're in. So this is going to spark a whole new level of toxicity where it's like, yeah, see, AEW, WWE hires bots because they're so insecure. And it's going to lead to more discourse that I hate. But on the surface, this is hysterical.
On both sides, it's going to be bad because you're going to have people that are like, oh, Tony Khan can't take the heat. He's just blaming it on bots. And then it's going to be like, you see, well, WWE can't take AEW's competition, so they're hiring bots, Yeah,
that's my only issue. I think that he probably did honestly hire a private investigator, which is hysterical. Imagining some like Inspector Gadget like person to be like, yep, I found all the bots. And, WWE probably is hiring bots because they have the money to do that. And, they probably think that would actually help them, and whatever.
They're not blind to the discourse that's on like platforms like Twitter and other areas. They know that there is a groundswell of anti-AEW rhetoric in the same way there is a groundswell of anti-WWE rhetoric. And for the most part, I always subscribe to the belief of like what you want, but don't like. You shouldn't be just trying to convince me that the other company should die because you don't like it. That's like one way or the other. But it's more about how it's clearly gotten under Tony's skin enough to do this, and that's interesting. And it's just gonna, as Rob says, lead to another wave of the actual people who aren't bots that do hate AEW, basically rinsing Khan for these comments in the same way they rinsed Khan for the comments that he made when Big Swole was released and all of that stuff as well. Tony Khan can't take, I say he can't take it, but he always hits back to criticism because he's staunchly proud of his product. And rather than take the Vince McMahon approach of just suck it up, move on, don't give rise to it, he's just gonna take these people head on because he grew up on wrestling forums online, and that's the kind of attitude that you take. Is if someone says that your opinion or idea or what you say is wrong, then you're gonna go after them, and it leads to a lot of entertaining things. This won't be the last time he does it until someone eventually gets into his ear and says, listen, we're taking your Twitter account away from you. We've locked your password. Like, we've changed your password without telling you. You're never getting back into that.
What do you think his password is?
What's one of his favorite wrestlers?
CM Punk, maybe? Maybe it's like
Yeah.
best in the world, DA.
Best in the world, AEW.
Be like
69.
Con Horseman 69. Like,
yeah. but it's hilarious though. And I'm like, it's gonna get a bit of discourse for the next couple of days, and then it'll be quickly forgotten about, or it'll be brought up in meme format for several
for years
weeks
and
months
years to come.
Oh yeah. It'll be brought up every now and again of like. It'll be one of those like images that were forgotten, and it'll just be a picture of his tweet and all that stuff. So, but yeah, it is nice to see every now and again.
Before we get into the TV talk of the rest of the things that have happened on this week, let's talk about the best WWE video game of all time tournament, our 2022 Smark Madness tournament that just went down. I have shut the poll off, and we've got some results here. So, man, the stupid Invisalign. So, I'm going to send you guys the results page right now so you guys can see that. We ended up with the triple threat for the finale. It was WWE SmackDown Here Comes the Pain 2003 against WWE 2K19 and WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. Winner, so-called best WWE game of all time, 2K19.
Bullshit.
Who the fuck is voting?
Yeah, that is total and utter bullshit.
I mean,
like,
okay, if you're gonna tell me blindly that there's a triple threat for best game of all time, I'm gonna assume it's Here Comes the Pain, No Mercy, and maybe one of the SmackDown versus Raw games. But like 11 being in there was interesting, and then 19 winning. So our audience must skew very young, Tony. We should stop swearing.
Fuck that.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, I mean, I can't speak for Rob as well. I know you're kind of not out of the loop entirely on this, Tony, but I know the video game, like wrestling video game, is not your thing, so I kind of mainly speak to Rob.
Yeah, I didn't even bother voting on the tournament, to be honest. I was just like, my vote doesn't matter.
Rob, the best WWE video games of all time, I mean, I can't speak entirely for it, but No Mercy.
No Mercy's up there, yeah.
Here Comes the Pain, I think, is up there.
Yeah.
I'd say Shut Your Mouth is along that line as well.
Probably.
Again, that's kind of the ones I grew up with.
Yeah,
that's
what I grew up too.
You're looking at
maybe versus Raw like 07, like the one with with the GM mode and stuff. Maybe one of those.
Yeah. I'm not saying that 2K19 was bad by any stretch of imagination, but it was glitchy.
Yeah, it's not like it was a bad game. It's just like, wow, you're gonna tell me of all these options. But then again, if you think about it, this is probably a contingency of voters who have played nothing but 2K19 for the last nearly 4 years. So maybe they really did fall in love with it.
Well, this I also want to bring up is because I'm looking at the results page now. So you added an additional question alongside that, was if WWE 2K was also included in the poll, would that get your vote? And WWE 2K22 matched the same percentage that 2K19 got.
Good Lord, we really have a young audience, Tony.
30.8% voted for both of those.
Yeah. I mean, it is recency biased. WWE 2K22 only recently came out, and
look,
it's elevated. Well, I'll say this, and then you can go off because I know that you're passionate about it as well. But it's a massive step up from 2K20. 2K20 was one of the worst video games that they've ever produced. So it's always going to look good at comparison. And I've played it. It's a good game. Definitely not one of the best they've ever done.
Look, it's a step up, definitely, but it's a step up in the way that Wrestlemania this year was a step up from the last 2 years, which took place in front of nobody and then in front of a limited capacity crowd. Like, I'm glad that people are behind the game. It's not my thing. Like, I've just accepted that completely. Like, it's not a game that I'm ever going to be, playing for years and years and years to come. But good for them that they were able to make a competent game. I don't think it's one of the best of all time. I'm shocked that 19 won. But I'm really wondering if a lot of that comes down to just, hey, respect to this game for doing something no other game had to do, which is hold the fort for 4 years. Not by choice, but by just straight, this is the best we've got. So I wonder how much of that plays into it.
Another question I had for the poll, which was not taken the way that it was intended to.
Never
which is what is the best non-WWE video game of all time? I should have worded it, what is the best non-WWE wrestling video game of all time? But the 5 results that people, because you didn't have to vote for that. The 5 results were WWE Superstars, which I was like, wait, what?
It's quite clearly WWE, yeah. It's not even a game, I don't think.
There's Super Mario Galaxy. Haven't played that.
No?
No, never played that.
I haven't played that one either, but I've heard that that's like the best Mario game that ever came out.
I am a Super Mario 3, Super Mario World type guy.
I would say 64 quite easily.
64 is the one I played the most of.
Yeah.
There's Fire Pro Wrestling, which that's something I was thinking.
Great game. Yeah. That is a game that I have, and I don't play the game. I set up matches and I watch the game. But it's so good. It's like, because of the mechanics, it's so difficult to play because there's so many button combinations and stuff like that. I have played it. I know how to play it, but the button combinations are so intricate that I can't come up with as good a matches as the two computers, two AIs can do against each other. But because there's such a avid community of creators on there that have created every single wrestler that you can ever think of in existence, and alongside things like Power Rangers and Marvel superheroes and stuff like that you can just download and put onto your system, it can just have so much fun where you can just come up with dream matches and put them on there and see them in a very cartoony, arcadey style. But yeah, Fire Pro Wrestling is a great
Fire
game.
Pro would be up there. WCW Revenge would probably be up there as well. There was like a great licensed wrestling game that isn't WWE.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other ones that potentially along those lines. I mean, you've got
like Def Jam Vendetta is a cult classic.
Yeah. You've got what's the one called? It's Wrestling Revolution. 3D.
Yeah, like that one. Any of the Matt Dickey games, fantastic wrestling based games. Let's see, what haven't we touched on? No one's gonna say Impact.
that video game was.
No
that
one's
video
ever
game
seen Impact.
it is interesting. The one and only TMA game, because I owned it, and the style, the gameplay is exactly the same. Not exactly the same because this game takes it up to 11, but it has the same kind of mechanics as WWE All Stars.
Well, it's made by the same team.
Yeah. So they do the same whole thing, but it made it super limited. Like every wrestler had pretty much the same moves except for their finisher, and that was just badly put together. The story is one of the craziest wrestling stories that's ever been put out there. I mean, they created Suicide off the back of that.
Yeah,
and Suicide became
a
wrestler on the show after that.
Still a character. I don't know how they've managed that all these years. But wait,
yeah, it's not a good game though.
Did you say all 5 answers, Tony?
Well, the 2 other ones are Red Dead Redemption 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
What a weird... I'm learning about our audience, and I like that.
But yeah, it's like a weird situation of like with Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. You imagine that person probably did vote for Here Comes the Pain, because that's a game that's a bit more on the older side. I don't know how many. I've never played any Metal Gear Solid games, so I don't know how far they are beyond that. But I don't think 3 is.
I think 3 might
recent.
be PlayStation 2.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. But yeah, what's your favorite video game of all time, Rob?
My favorite video game of all time, Smash Brothers Melee. Is probably what I think is the best video game of all time.
Right? Yeah. Big into Smash Brothers, so I can't disagree. I go Mass Effect 2. Is that's my I love single player story based ones, and I think that the whole Mass Effect series is my favorite video game series of all time. But that one in particular, I think it has such a satisfying ending, which 3 doesn't have. Which otherwise 3 would be my favorite, but the ending of 3 just kind of spoils it for me.
Johnny, what's your favorite video game of all time?
I got a top 5, but GoldenEye is my number 1.
Oh yeah, that's a great game.
But the 4 that are kind of always like, okay, if I'm not picking GoldenEye, what are kind of like the ones that revolve around that? Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
Kirby Superstar. Not a game many people bring up.
No.
Pokemon Red and Blue or Gold and Silver, whatever. Just that's the same fucking thing. So you know what I mean? The way that is. And then probably I would say either Super Mario 3, or if I had to kind of go like, all right, what's another one or something? I had a shit ton of fun back in the day playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
Yeah, that original trilogy, that PS2 trilogy, changed gaming. Like, that series made sandbox games fun, where you just go around doing whatever the hell you want. And yeah, it's hard to argue with any of those, really, because Super Mario Bros. 3 is like the definitive Mario game for quite a while. Yeah, very good choices.
I've been enjoying the hell out of Legends Arceus. So, I mean, it's not a top 5, but that's gotten a lot of my attention lately.
I did pick that up recently. I'm excited to actually jump into that.
Have you picked it back up, Callum?
Nah, I've been too busy with other stuff. But it is in the to-do list. It will get completed at some point, but it may just take me a year or 2 to get there.
Interesting. Off the top of your head, Callum, best FIFA game?
It's FIFA game. Oh god, that's I think I can't remember too many off the top of my head because I stopped playing them for a while because it just became repetitive. I did like this year's one. I thought this year's one was very good, but I stopped playing it after several months and didn't go back to it because there are too many other games to play at this point in time, and there's too many other things going on. But I'd say you're probably looking at maybe FIFA 12. I know the best football game I ever played is not a FIFA game. It's Pro Evolution Soccer 3. That was the game that I played the most out of. I just enjoyed that so much, even if the games have developed so much more graphically and in sophistication over the years. But that was the game that I fell in love with.
That's always so interesting to me, and we could honestly go on and on with this for a while, but I do know that eventually Tony's mouth is going to give out on him. So I'll let him continue.
I mean, yeah, video game thing, that's more, you can check out Fanboy is Anonymous, and then maybe we'll do something more in the video game spectrum at some point.
We need to do more Fanboys this year.
I definitely want to do more if I'm able to talk more. We do have one more question that was on here, which was, what would you like to see as next year's tournament? And there was best wrestler, which I don't think that we could probably do just because it's too hard. Best WWE ring announcer of all time, Howard Finkel.
Yeah.
There you go. Best wrestlers from outside of the United States. Which could be fun.
I thought you were going to say outer space, and I was going to say, what the fuck?
Oh, Chris Statlander.
Oh, there you go.
For anybody who's from parts unknown, might count. What about Max Moon? And this person didn't quite understand it. They said, I think will be WWE Hell in a Cell with Survivor Series with Royal Rumble and Clash of Champions. So I don't know what's going on there. But
okay.
So we got time to figure out the next Smark Madness tournament. And of course, we'll let you guys know when it comes down to like February of next year or something. But in the meantime, if you do have any suggestions, drop in the comment section below. And we're going to move on to another story here with the positive stuff on the wedding side of things. Because we got Carmella and Corey Graves got married. Seems like Alexa Bliss is going to get married this weekend. It's just one of those little quick congrats. It's good to see.
Shout out to them. Tony, you had 2 weddings.
I did.
How many of them attended wearing a fanny pack? How many people attended wearing a fanny pack?
I can safely say I don't remember anybody doing that. So if they did have a fanny pack, they kept it to themselves for at least enough for me to not pay attention to it.
Shout out to John Moxley, who is just John Moxley through and through. And just everybody else is so nicely dressed. And there's a picture with Mox, just leather jacket, fanny pack, a Cincinnati Bengals shirt. And it's like, this dude just lives his life and is himself through and through.
Very funny looking picture for that.
Oh yeah, that's just the funniest image coming out of it. But yeah, congrats to Carmella and Corey. Congratulations to in advance to Bliss and Ryan Cabrera. Yeah, if that does happen this weekend, as it seems everyone seems to be saying it will be. But yeah, it's always good to see love blossoming.
So I had mentioned before that one of the things that was a hit during my wedding was the cologne I had gotten from our sponsors for this episode and many of the other ones, Manscaped, that I had unfortunately dropped and made my bathroom smell really good for a little while. But now that my mouth is all messed up with this Invisalign thing, I'm finding my lips very, very dry. And I'm going to be using that lip balm that Manscaped had sent over for sure. That's part of their newest package, and you can pick that up along with everything else by using the promo code SMARK, SMARK, over on the site, and you will get not only free shipping with your order, which is something that adds up quite a bit, but also 20% off the entire order. So you're going to save a lot of money on that, and that's something that we've been telling you about for a while now, and that's because not only has Manscaped continued to do many great new additions to their lineup. So every time you turn around, it's going to be like, okay, well, now there's another thing happening. There's a new different type of package or whatever. But they got great products too. So we're always touting them as something you guys should be checking out. Maybe you want to be more on like the Ezekiel and Elias side of things. I don't know. Maybe he used the Manscaped Advanced Skin Safe technology to trim his beard and, make himself look a little younger for his younger brother scenario. Or I guess maybe he just gave that suggestion to his younger brother if he's not real. But if you are interested in picking something up on there, go to manscaped.com, use the promo code SMARK. That way they know that you are coming from us in particular and not just, using a code from somebody else. And if it's the shears or if it's the lawnmower or if it's the weed whacker, whatever it might be, you're going to love the product. So It's got our guarantee as well as them. Your balls will thank you as well. And we want to thank Manscaped for sponsoring us and for helping us out along the way and for helping out whoever buys some of their products, because that's the whole point. So we have one more thing to do here, which is to just round out the TV talk. Anything that's worth talking about that we didn't already address. Samoa Joe's on AEW now. That's the thing.
Yep. So he returned as part of the Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor to defend Jay Leathwood just turned heel against Jonathan Gresham. Well, not against Jonathan Gresham, but he beat down alongside Sanjay Dutt. That was the end of the Supercard of Honor. Joe coming out, confronting them, choking out Dutt. And he had his first match with Max Caster, who had a great rap for him, as he typically does. But I think this one was a particularly strong one, ending it by saying something that isn't technically accurate, but it's still funny anyway, about how why do we give this guy a chance when we beat this when this guy, we beat those guys in the ratings, this guy was their champ type thing, which isn't technically true, but it's still funny. But yeah, and it was pretty much a squash match, and we got to see quite a bit more of Joe than he kind of did in his final year or so in WWE, which is obviously in his last year in WWE, he barely wrestled at all. But he was doing suicide dives and hit the muscle buster, which I don't think he was allowed to do in WWE that much after the Tyson Kidd incident. But yeah, it's cool to see all that stuff together. And he looked good. He's going to be in the Owen Hart tournament, so that's great. Yeah, it's just great to see Joe being Joe again.
I kind of was paying half attention to AEW this week just because it's Wednesday. So, I'm feeling like garbage. But that caught my attention, of course, because Samoa Joe is awesome. And when I was looking through the rest of the stuff that was happening and everything throughout Monday Night Raw and NXT UK, I paid no attention to whatsoever. So nothing big was happening there. We did talk a little bit about NXT already, so we covered the things with Creed Brothers getting attacked by Pretty Deadly and all that. We did see that Nikita Lyons and Lash Legend match. Lash Legend, that's a hard one. So that's going to be able to say. So I didn't hear Twitter going absolutely nuts about it like they were beforehand, but it was a thing. And we got further along that whole Duke Hudson, Dexter Loomis type story. There's some good stuff. There's some bad stuff here and there. I'm firmly in the camp that Austin Theory is going to win that United States Championship soon. I know that.
Kind of has to. I'm surprised that Finn Balor just hasn't lost it by proxy at this point, because he's losing everything else. So he might as well lose the title alongside it. It's I think that maybe he's above the championship, because seemingly winning the championship is a poison chalice, because you win it and things start going wrong. At least the United States title in that regard is in a higher footing than the Intercontinental Championship, but still, it's not a great place to be a mid-card champion in WWE at the moment.
Well, Ricochet can at least defend his title successfully, and he looks better having won the IC title than Balor does having won the US title.
They're also teasing that Rhea Ripley is going to split up with Liv Morgan already.
Yeah. Which...
Yeah, she's rumored to be part of this new Edge stable coming up.
Which, sucks, because I like the Rhea and Liv pairing. But also,
so does the internet.
Yeah, so does the internet, and good on them. And I want to see Rhea with Edge, even though I feel like being the one woman in a stable like this tends to bring diminishing returns.
Mm-hmm. Look at Allie right now.
I still think it's better than anything else she could be doing.
I think it's partially because they just want another heel for Bianca to go up against.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. That's probably a long-term aim, is to have them. I could see them feuding into SummerSlam at some point. Extend this out a bit.
I was surprised that Bianca got through a whole promo without getting interrupted.
Awkward promo, though.
A little bit.
Wasn't the greatest, but I think it's fine. the most awkward thing about it is that she just cut a promo and then left. It's like, okay, we're not setting up anyone yet for her. Okay, but that was the whole story of the Raw after WrestleMania. It was just like, oh, this thing, outside of a couple of things like the Ezekiel debut, if you call it that, and the MVP turning on Bobby Lashley and joining Omos as his new manager,
which is the wrong move if you have a brain inside of you. Why would you? Whatever, we'll get to it. But
let's talk about it.
No, it's fucking Tony. If the guy loses cleanly, there's no shenanigans. Why would you be like, you know what? I'm gonna hitch my wagon to the loser. Let's go. What the fuck?
I think it's one of those things they're trying to present as, because Lashley didn't have MVP alongside him for beating Omos, that's essentially that's a mark of disrespect towards MVP and everything that MVP's done for Bobby Lashley since they aligned together. And so if Omos is against, it's more a case of because Omos is against Lashley, that's why MVP is with him, rather than he's chosen Omos over Lashley. It's a case of, okay, Lashley doesn't need him anymore and he's showing me disrespect. So, and this guy's willing to beat him up, so I'm going to go alongside him.
It's just like, damn, poor guy could have picked a winner at least.
But the rest of Raw was just a case of, okay, here's some things that are happening. Like, the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. Haven't seen that 20 times in the last 5 months or whatever. Like, you have RK Bro and Balor against the Usos and Austin Theory, have Roman Reigns come out at the end, say, hey, tune in SmackDown. The only other thing of note was the Cody promo.
The Cody promo, which I feel like we're better off saving to the end just because it was the most notable thing to happen, because Roman Reigns really made me look like an asshole, guys. I'm sitting here, I've been saying for months, I'm so excited they're merging the titles. I'm so excited, one champion. And they did nothing but say, watch SmackDown. Like, where do you get off? What is the point of this?
Double dipping. It's the problem. That's why it's not going to be good.
But like, even if you're going to do that, if you know that Cody's promo is going to be what it is, and Roman's promo is going to be what it is, flip the order and have Roman start the show by saying, watch SmackDown, and then save Cody's emotional promo to the end of the show. Because that was weird too. When do you see an episode of Raw end with, hey, champion's coming out? Champion said his piece. All right, everybody, see you later. When does that happen?
In WWE. Or at least like on the Raw after WrestleMania. Yeah, it was a bad way to end the show, and it was a bad Raw after Mania in general. And only other thing that I think that's somewhat noteworthy, or at least like happened, is the inevitable Carmella and Zelina Vega split happened. And if they're also now proceeding with the Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan thing, then we're well on our way to my prediction of that by SummerSlam or whatever this year, that all 4 of those tag teams won't be together. So we're already one down. The second one's on the way. I don't know if the Natalya and Shayna Baszler one will happen at any point, and also it means that Naomi and Sasha Banks would have to lose the titles at some point, but I imagine they will do. I think that now they need to start thinking of, okay, get that Doudrop Nikki ASH tag team together, like get them doing stuff, because they're not doing anything otherwise, so you might as well put them as a tag team. They're both Scottish, it fits. And yeah, try and figure out some other tag teams. I don't know who they have. I mean, they've got Raquel. They had Dakota Kai, but they've decided to keep Dakota Kai in NXT to go after Mandy Rose's title. So they bring Raquel up as a single, so they're not going to have them as a tag team. I don't know. Xylee and Aaliyah. Xylee. Yeah, that's.
No, I think that they need to start working their way around. How do we quietly make these belts go bye-bye? Like, what is the point of these women's tag titles? Every year since they've made them up, they've had to scramble for people to fight for them. And then they always end up going with, which I think is what they're doing here, oh, this is good because now Sasha can be on both shows.
Mm-hmm.
And she can play whatever we need her to play whenever we need her to play it.
Yep. I think that's really all they care about.
I wouldn't bother having the belts be around. And if anybody says, well, that's taking away opportunities for women, they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything with them. So yeah, I'd rather take away the phony opportunity that isn't leading to anything.
Well, as far as the TV stuff goes, anything else you guys want to talk about?
So AEW side of things, the Bucks and FTR match was excellent.
Yes.
And it's FTR baby faces, and that's so cool because you just wouldn't expect it from like the Revival and FTR have been like career heels for the most part. The only thing they ever did that was even remotely babyface was that triple threat tag match against AOP and DIY from years and years ago. And now they're babyface, and it's such a seamless fit. They just know. I guess it's kind of expected because they've spent their entire careers working against babyfaces. So I guess through osmosis, they know how to be a great babyface tag team as well. But yeah, it was awesome, that match. And I'm looking forward to whenever they decide to do more stuff in the future. I think that they ideally should be. I mean, they're great as Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. I think they should be AEW Tag Champions sometime this year again as well. But we'll wait and see how that goes. They have too many options in the tag team division that it could literally be anybody.
Well, do you think that by the end of next week, part of, if not all, of the Undisputed Era will be the champions?
I think Red Dragon will be tag team champions. Adam Cole isn't not going to win the World Championship.
I don't know, man. That's the first time ever. First time ever guy wins the belt on Rampage.
Christian Cage won a world title on Rampage.
Oh, but he didn't win the AEW world title.
Yeah, I know, but it's not going to be. I think that due to the reaction that Adam Page got in that when he came out to confront Adam Cole and challenge into the Texas Death Match on Rampage, I think that reaction is the indicator that you can't take the belt off Page yet. He's too over to take the belt off of him at this point in time, and the draw is Rampage has a world title match. I don't think you need to do the title change. That's my interpretation. I'm not saying they won't do it. I just think that it would be the wrong decision.
Real quick, do you think they're doing too many Texas Death Matches?
It's been quite a few quite a few in the space of a month. But I think if you make it Page's specialty match, then I think I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, if that's like becomes okay, this is the match that we now associate with Adam Page, then I think that it's worth doing. I think after this one, you don't do another one for 6 months plus. But I can understand why they're trying to get more eyes on Rampage because the ratings have been falling recently. So, and adding that stipulation, you have to add something beyond because they've already had the match at Revolution, so it couldn't just be another one-on-one match. It needs to be something a bit more than that.
I'm not going to pretend like they can match SmackDown numbers, but if you just put it on at 7 p.m., I'm sure more people would watch. And it being live is going to help as well.
Yeah, and the whole thing with Battle of the Belts, it's not really fully connected, but there's tangential.
Yeah, it's a good thing that they have title matches on all 3 shows next week. So it's Red Dragon versus the Jurassic Express for the tag titles on Dynamite. Page versus Cole for the world title on Rampage. And the Battle of the Belts will have multiple matches, but right now they have Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose for the women's title.
They should put the TBS title on. You know what? Put the TBS title on Battle of the Belts and just be like, "Hey, all women's show. How about that?" I think that'd be. I think
they probably get 3 matches on there, and obviously they only have 2 women's titles. But I wouldn't be. I mean, eventually they do have to do this Jade Cargill and Marina Shafir match they've been promoting for about 3 weeks or so.
I think you do it at Battle of the Belts. And then the third match can be a rematch of the tag title match.
Could be. You could do. I think. Oh, Scorpio Sky needs to start defending that title.
Yeah, that's true too. Maybe he defends the belt.
He hasn't really had one meaningful defense yet. The only defense he's had is against Wardlow, and he got his ass kicked for the entire match and only won on a technicality. So yeah, he needs to actually defend it against someone or lose it to someone. Either way.
Well,
only other thing that I mentioned that I know we kind of glossed over, but it kind of aligned on the TV front, but we might as well just mention it, is that AEW has been picked up by New Japan World.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So Dynamite and Rampage will both be shown on New Japan World going forward. So it's nothing much that needs to be said other than great for New Japan World subscribers, and it's another indicator of a working relationship between both sides, which, as the world starts to open up again, just means that we're going to see, hopefully, AEW guys going over to New Japan guys coming over to AEW, and will hopefully lead to a couple of super shows and stuff like that in the coming years. So
I never thought I would feel this way going into 2019, but New Japan needs the shot in the arm.
Yeah, it was kind of the other way around, wasn't it, beforehand?
Yeah.
Like in 2019, it was the thing, having New Japan alongside AEW could really help boost them up. And now it's a case of AEW's been built up so well in the last few years that they're the ones that are going to give New Japan the rub to help get eyeballs back onto their product instead. So yeah, I think that's really good.
So we got SmackDown coming up in a little bit. It's currently 6:10, so probably by the time you're listening to this, it's either going to be starting or depending on if I run into that issue that happened with YouTube the past couple episodes where it says that it's pending the processing, and then I show up, I click back on it like 10 minutes later and it's somehow going from 5% to 2%. Maybe it'll be a little bit later than that, I don't know, but that's this week's round of the hot tags. And next week we will be doing the one that we talked about before, which was, knock on wood, the release edition
of the April 15th edition of the hot tags.
Yeah, it's the Q2 mailbag mixed in with that. So over the course of these next few days, if you want to send in some mailbag questions ahead of time, just in case you're not able to join us live, which we would probably be around like, 3:00 on Friday, then send your mailbag questions in advance, and we will address those on the show while we're doing the other kind of hot tags. And I don't know, I guess the other thing after that, or actually before that, we're going to try to, depending on how my mouth is feeling, try to do the ROH mock draft and put that up as a Darkcast for everybody who's on that tier. So if you're not subscribed to that, do that already. And then follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment. Follow the Fanboys Anonymous stuff. And follow me at Tony Mango. Follow Rob at Dude Felice.
Yep, and you can follow everything I'm doing on all social media platforms at Dude Felice. And check out Fightful.com and Fightful Select. And you should also be following what Callum is doing. What are you doing, Callum?
So you can find me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. And you check out the power rankings over on SmarkOutMoment.com. It will be the Wrestlemania Reset episode, so already finished up last season. This will be the start of the 2022-2023 season, so see who is top of the tree for the very first week of this new season. And yeah, 52 weeks from now, we'll know who had the most number one positions and who was ranked in the rankings for the longest period of time and all of that great stuff. So yeah, make sure you check out this one. And everything else that's going up on the Smark website as well, because there's always great stuff going up every week from the Triple Threats and all the other weekly articles to other odd articles coming up every now and again. Check out everything as well. And yeah, the Smark had the March Madness tournament. When we've got the next tournament coming up as well, make sure you're first there to submit your answers and get your voice heard.
Let's do a quick turnaround this year at some point, don't we?
Definitely want to do that because that thing seems like that would be pretty fun to just, all right, we're going to rush through a tournament and want a whole episode. So I don't know, maybe we do something even like the suggestions that are there, like the ring announcer thing. We all know we're going to vote for Howard Finkel at the end, but you never know about how the rest of them are going to go. So whatever it is, though, thank you for listening to this episode. Thank you for all your support in whatever fashion that you can and do. and Will. And we will see you next time, everybody. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we are being counted out.